Alright guys, well, good morning. I'm proud to announce that my next project is coming very soon. So my next project, obviously, as you guys see, is going to be another LS Swap Genesis. This one, I'm going to do all the bare stuff that I did to that, except the stuff that I missed, I'm actually going to document it this time. So right here, we have a completely bare 5.3 LS. Which I'm going to throw in a 4.8 D-stroked crank, and then throw some forged internals in this, and then throw some boost that I'm thinking like a 78 mil turbo. However, that is not the point of this video. The point of the video is to talk about this thing. So this, as you guys know, is my 6-liter LS Swap Genesis with a manual T56 in it. So this is the ISR, not ISR, Enjuku Racing LS Swap T56 extension. However, with the next one, I'm going to be going with all of the Sikky stuff. So I have a Sikky 3.5-inch stainless steel drive shaft on this one. However, on the next one, I'm going to be going with the Sikky engine mounts, since I think they look a lot better, and then the Sikky T56 extension kit. So, alright, so, I am not sitting on this engine, that hurts. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty stuff, because as you guys know, everyone's curious, they all want to do it. This is my build, this is everything that I did to mine. Obviously I upgraded a lot of the stuff that I wanted to, like the camshaft. I had to do the springs, I wanted it to chop, so I had to do springs and retainers. And then I did some 799 heads to flow a little bit better, make a little bit power. And the cam I have in there is a Texas Speed BFD cam, which is one of the most aggressive cams on the market. However, for this one, I know the video isn't about it. This is going to get a turbo cam, so that way, you know, boost and stuff. But getting into it, I got a little list. As you guys know, I made a, where is it at? Right here. I made a little list detailing everything that I've spent on the car, and this isn't penny for penny for everything. Obviously, you know, I skipped a few things, like maybe $100, $200 here and there. This is a rough estimate on what I spent. Now, entailing everything about the car. As you guys saw when I first got it, it came as a bare shell. I told you guys I picked the car up for 500 bucks. I went to Dallas, threw it on a trailer, trailered it back to my house. When I first got it, it was a rolling shell. It didn't come with wheels and tires. It didn't come with... Sorry, my neighbors drove by and I'm really awkward talking about stuff, like staring at a camera talking about it. So it didn't come with wheels and tires. It didn't come with a whole front end. It didn't come with fenders, hood, bumper, radiator support, or most of the interior. So most of the stuff that you kind of need to complete an LS swap, it didn't have. That being said, if you guys already have a running and driving platform that you are trying to LS swap, this is going to be significantly cheaper, because I had to buy everything that I could to get it to be from a bare shell to a running and driving car. Getting into the chassis, the shell. I just said I picked the car up for $500. I ended up buying a door, that was $150. I needed some interior bits, a radio, a shifter bezel, door cards, window regulators, all that stuff was about 100 bucks. As you guys know, I did an ABS delete. On this next one, I won't be doing an ABS delete because it'll be a drag car, a drag street car, and I kind of don't want to have to worry about not slamming on the brakes, especially with the turbo 5.3 and a lot of horsepower. I would like to have some sort of ABS function, so I don't kill myself. So the ABS delete, the lines, the kit, well not the kit, the lines, the fittings and everything was roughly $200. The switch panel, as you guys saw, this isn't a must, but the switch panel that I have for my buttons and everything, the switch panel I had custom 3D printed, it was about 100 bucks. The buttons I got from Billet Automotive Buttons, they were really cool. They have some really good products. You do a lot of custom buttons and a lot of everything else. But the buttons were about $25 a piece, and then shipping, they came from Australia, so roughly about another 150 bucks. The bumper I bought off eBay. It was one of those shitty unpainted ones that come folded up. It wasn't too bad actually. I unfolded it and set my hood on it to kind of, you know, keep it in place a little bit, left it out in the sun for a bit, and then threw it on. The bumper was 150 bucks. I stole the fog lights and the grill from my 38T that was crashed because, you know, obviously it didn't need those. So I stole the fog lights and the grill for that. Radiator support. This is a doozy because I bought this other car with the intention of stealing a lot of parts off of it, so that way I could put onto this car. So this car, this black one, I actually paid 700 bucks for, which still isn't bad, but it came with fenders, it came with a radiator support, and it came with a half-assed interior, so I kind of saw it as a win, you know? A normal radiator support used would probably be around 400 bucks, BK1 or BK2. This one was a BK1, and I like the looks of those better, so I went with this and just sucked it up and bought the whole car. So I'm just going to include what I think it would be. So my radiator support, if I would have bought it aftermarket or used, I assume it would be about $250. The hood, I'm not running a hood. You guys know I like to show my stuff. I was going to buy an aftermarket one with some vents, but I don't know what I'm going to do with this car yet. I don't mind it not having a hood. I like it. The clutch and brake pedal. You can do this the aftermarket way with like a really nice mounted kit, like a 4-mounted stuff. I wanted to do it like the OEM clean way. So that car came as an auto, so obviously I only had 2 pedals. What you can do is you can cut the brake pedal and kind of make it work, but I wanted to make it as OEM as possible. So I had a set of manual clutch and manual brake pedals that I had shipped from one of my friends down in Florida who gave me a pretty good deal on it. So both the pedals with the switches and everything were about 100 bucks, 150 bucks. Wheels and tires, I got these wheels and tires obviously just to roll around on. They came from a Tiburon. They're 17s, so they don't really look that great, but they work. I picked those up for free since the guy I put wheels and tires on his car, he didn't want the old ones anymore, so I just stole them. Well, he gave them to me. But that is everything for the car aspect. Like I said, if you have one, it's going to be significantly cheaper because for the whole car and all the stuff that I needed to make it a car again was about $1,600 US, roughly, missing a few pieces here and there. Now getting onto the swap of the car, which is going to be the swap kit and everything you need to get the motor and the trans of your choice in the car. I left those in the engine sections, that way I could keep everything kind of nice and separate, keep a nice price guideline for everything that I have. So the swap part we'll get into. The swap kit, the engine, transmounts, I bought everything completely separately because when I first started this car I wasn't making a lot of money, so I had to kind of piece it together. I couldn't afford the $2,000 on the actual whole complete swap kit like most people can, so what I first started with is buying the engine and the transmounts. I bought those from DMZrated.com. Pretty cool guy, Jason Riddle. He does all the Ellis swap gens and everything. So I got the engine and the transmounts for $350. I have a Canton Racing oil pan. That was $450. The Wilwood Clutch Master and the Wilwood rod you have to buy. You cannot reuse your Genesis Slave or Clutch Master cylinder, otherwise it will explode. There are lots of forums that say this and lots of people can back it up. So you have to do the Wilwood shifter or the Wilwood Master Cylinder Kit, which is, I made a video on that. I showed you guys how to do all that stuff. So the Wilwood Master Kit was $85 and the rod adapter was separate. That was about $125. The drive shaft. As I told you guys, I have a Sikky 3.5-inch steel drive shaft. That was the very last part that I bought for the car. So I bought that probably a month ago and then threw it on. I wanted to wait till everything was done and in place before I got it because at the time I didn't know which transmission I was going to use. So I have the Sikky 3.5-inch T56 drive shaft. Only issue I had with this was it didn't come with a diff adapter. So the drive shaft comes with a standard T56 input, and then the rear is actually a 4-bolt. So to get it to work with your Hyundai Genesis, you have to get a 3-bolt to 4-bolt adapter that drive shaft shop actually sells. But the thing is, it's supposed to be included with the kit, and mine didn't come in time. So what I ended up doing is buying a separate one, waiting for mine to come in, and then sending the one that I got in back to the guy. So it was about roughly the same price, but the whole kit from, again, DMZ rated, Jason Riddle, was $800. The oil filter relocation, that actually came with the Canton Racing oil pan, but it didn't have any of the AN stuff to go with it. The oil filter relocation as you guys know, takes the factory oil filter reel or the oil filter spot, converts the 2 ports to -10 ANs. Didn't come with that. So this is including the AN hoses, or not the AN hoses, the AN lines, and then I used push lock hoses because the budget was getting a bit iffy at this point. This was still about half a year ago, so I didn't have much money. So I used the push lock hoses with some zip ties, and then I ended up getting hose clamps when I was ready for the car to run. And everything where I located everything costed, for the lines and the AN fittings, was $90 because AN lines are expensive. The shifter extension, obviously I went with a Enjuku Racing T56 shifter extension. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. There is a lot of slop in the gears and it feels really bad. You can put it in first gear and still have about 2 inches of side-to-side movement, which is why I'm planning on upgrading to the Sikky one and hoping that it works a lot better. However, the T56 extension was $400, brand new. Next part, getting into the actual bones of this, so the transmission, the motor, and everything. I'm still going to include the transmission in the swap kit, and then I'm going to have a whole motor section separately, but I'll try to see what I can do with the numbers. T56 transmission, I got a really good price on it. It is a T56 transmission out of a GTO, and I got it from someone who was actually local to me. He had like 4 laying around, and I don't know if you guys know or have looked recently, but T56s are pretty hard to find. So I got the transmission for $2 grand, which isn't that bad of a deal. The clutch kit, this one I got from a friend who also gave me a few other bits and accessories, so I don't know how I'm going to price all this stuff, but the clutch kits I got from one of my buddies who had an LS swapped RX-7 that ended up upgrading a bunch of stuff, and like I said, this was a budget build, so I tried to nickel and dime everything that I could. So I got the clutch kit with the accessory drives and everything for about $250. The clutch kit is a Spec Stage 2 clutch. He ran it on his car. He said it was really nice and it held power NA perfectly, but he couldn't use it for boost. So I got his clutch kit, the whole Spec clutch with a aluminum flywheel and everything. We are not going to include the ARP hardware in this stuff because I don't count many stuff like that. I did have ARP flywheel bolts and ARP pressure plate bolts. I also have ARP head studs, or head bolts, not head studs. But that is a totally different thing. Like I said, I'm not including bolts and small little pieces. That should be a given. Obviously, you can use stock bolts, stock head bolts. It would work well for a NA setup, kind of just like a normal cruiser. But like I said, I wanted to upgrade. I wanted to be safe. The radiator. I'm going to include this in the swap portion because you can use your OEM radiator. It probably won't cool as well as it should. The 3.8 radiator I used to bleed the cooling system did fine. I didn't have the fan hooked up and I didn't drive it at the time, so I couldn't really tell you how it would work, but I think a few people have done it. But what I went with is a CSF radiator and threw that in for about $380. I reused the stock fan shroud, the stock fan, and then wired that to my switch panel, so I didn't have to worry about any other budgets for that. One thing I'm going to add now, because I forgot about it, was the fuel system. So as you guys know, the Genesis Coupe comes with a returnless fuel system. So with an aftermarket option, you can go with a Corvette fuel filter, which also has a returnless system, but I ended up just doing it because I wanted to try it as well. So my fuel system total was probably about $300, which include the fuel pressure regulator delete from Piranha Raceworks. It included the DW300 fuel pump. I modified the basket and did everything myself, which you guys saw that video on. It included the AN lines with the hoses that ran from the front of the engine to the pressure regulator and then back. It includes the fuel pressure regulator that I got from Summit Racing. I think that's actually about everything that I included. The exhaust. I went with, this will be really easy for the people that want a cheap build. I went with OEM GTO headers that's come from a 6-liter. The way they point, the way they angle down and point back lines up perfectly with the subframe and clears the body of the car. What I did was I put those on and I sent it to my fabricator. I have a local fabricator that's really cool, and I had him build the rest of the exhaust from the headers to the catback. I used the stock exhaust that was on my old Genesis, and put it in there, and then I had the stock exhaust that came off the 2.0, which was literally just about 10 feet of piping that curved and shit, and I dropped it off and said, hey, can you make this work? He said, yeah. So for the whole exhaust with the headers and the fabrication to get it to the catback was $250. So that entails the swap portion, everything that you should need. I might be missing a few things. Let me know in the comments, and I will reply as soon as I can with the price, because this build was about a year in the making, and I had a nickel and dime for the first part, and then the next part I kind of went all out. So for the whole swap portion, I spent $5,030. Getting into the motor aspect, so the heart of the car, I have a 6-liter LQ9 that I got from one of my good buddies. He owns Enjuku High Performance. It came out of one of his work trucks that was flipped. So he pulled the heads to see if anything was wrong, and everything was fine. So I got the motor without the heads. Well, I got the motor with the heads, but the heads ended up not being usable. So I got the complete short block with the whole rotating assembly. Coolant passengers were a little bit rusty. Head bolts were a bit questionable. But anyways, I got the short block with the full rotating assembly and the heads for a combination of $750. Up next for the engine, I had to buy a valley cover and a front main plate and a few other bits and pieces that I upgraded. The valley cover and the front main plate was about $100. I needed Ls9 Head Gaskets because I wanted to get some pretty good ones, which are actually the same ones I have here. These are BTR Ls9 Head Gaskets. These came with this motor that I bought for my car for $85. The head bolts came with my buddy's clutch kit that he had. He gave me the clutch kit, the accessory drive, and the head bolts. So like I said, I'm assuming this is what it would be for a used one, but I got the head bolts for $50, and those are ARP head bolts. The camshaft. I went with a Texas Speed BFD camshaft that I actually ended up getting from Michigan Racing, or Michigan Motors or something like that. I ended up getting the kit, which came with a front main seal. It came with the camshaft. It came with 660 dual springs and titanium retainers, and it came with 7.4 hardened push rods. So that whole kit was $740 from them. The headwork, as I told you guys, when I first bought the motor from Enjuku High Performance, this isn't anything on them at all. He didn't really know. He didn't look at it that well. But a big problem with the factory LS heads is that they tend to crack in between these valve reliefs right here. So I didn't know, but I had the heads sent off to get some work done to them. I had the valves cleaned, I had the heads decked, and I had them hot tanked, and I got new seats and new seals put in. So before I did that, my good buddy JD Smith, he actually owns a shop out by me. He actually did all the head work for me. So he put the springs in, he put the retainers in, and then he hot tanked it and decked them. So with the head work, including the new heads, was $600. Getting into the engine management and intake stuff. Obviously, like I said, this could go many ways. You could use a standalone eBay harness, which is a reworked OEM harness that'll work with a OEM ECU. What I decided to do, like I said, this was a budget build, so I decided to go with a Phytech kit. This kit I showed you guys in the video, it was the 7001 kit. So this kit that I got included a intake manifold, included fuel rails, 38-pound injectors, a throttle body, which is a 92mm throttle body. It included an ECU, their own standalone harness with their own little relay box. I bought brand new because I didn't trust it used. Was $1,650. The drive accessories for the engine, I ended up going with a LS1 drive kit, which includes an F-body water pump, F-body tensioner, F-body alternator. All that kit was $200 for the drive accessories. For the engine, I went with the upgraded rocker arms from Michigan Motors. It came with the upgraded trunnion, which is a must for a big cam. That kit I bought, the rockers were $200 upgraded, and they just bolted in and worked just fine. I ended up having to get a steam vent kit. It was $60. So that being said, everything for the motor, all the upgrades for this portion of the video, what I spent for all the motor stuff was about $4,645 US. And the grand total for my final build is $11,482. So, if you take whichever portion of this video that you need to know, that'll be the specific price point, which is why I broke it down into 3 sections to kind of make it easier for you guys. That being said, that is everything that cost me to build this LS Swap Genesis coupe. I really hope you guys look forward to the next segments of the video, which include the built motor, the turbo. I know I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm really excited to get started on this project. Other than that, thank you guys for watching the video, and thank you guys for your support. All your messages on Instagram, all your messages on Facebook, all your comments on YouTube. They really give me more motivation to do this stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I don't know what I will be doing. The next video will probably include keeping this on a stand and then getting the crank in with a lot of the other stuff, and then probably revealing my next shell if I end up picking that up pretty soon. But once again, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video of my breakdown. So, peace.